Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
The cold temperatures and the rain ruined a lot of outdoor plans today. It's not done quite yet. We're getting there. First Alert meteorologist Kyle Graveline will let us know how long the cold and rain sticks around. Plus, 2 days after a triple homicide in Seminole County and still no arrests have been made. The new details we've learned as a person of interest in this case is released. And a 2-year-old child is injured during a drive-by shooting in Orange County, what deputies have revealed so far as they work to find the gunman. Good evening, and thanks for joining us here on WESH 2 News. I'm Kelly Rippin in for Sonica Dange, and of course we go right to First Alert meteorologist Kyle Graveline because a lot of cold, a lot of wet today, which ruined a lot of plans, but it's not going to hang around through the work week.
The end is in sight, but we still have widespread rain across central Florida. We've broken some rainfall records, Orlando and Melbourne. Kelly?
Thanks, Kyle. We are learning new details on the triple homicide investigation in Chuliota. Earlier today, officials released the person of interest in the case. Investigators have also now identified the victims. WESH 2's Kelsey Thorud has the details.
In Seminole County, Kelsey Thorud, WESH 2 News.
Tonight, Orange County deputies are searching for the person they say shot up a home, injuring a 2-year-old boy who was inside. Investigators say the gunfire erupted on Saturday night at a home near Cayley Avenue and 23rd Street. That child is now recovering. WESH 2's Amanda Ober is staying on top of this story and has the latest developments.
In Orange County, Amanda Ober, WESH 2 News.
New tonight, investigators are searching for 2 people they say robbed another man at gunpoint at his own home. Police say the man stepped outside of his apartment on North Lane about 8 o'clock last night to smoke a cigarette. But while he was outside, he was approached by 2 other people who held him at gunpoint. They forced him back inside and took his money before running away. No one was injured. Orlando police are still searching for the person they say shot 3 people, killing one of them. Police found the first victim at the Bank of America parking lot on Orange Avenue near Livingston Street. 2 others were found at Club Lit nearby. Now, those victims are expected to survive. Police increased patrols in the area in response to this incident, and they're asking that if you have any information, you contact Crime Line. Tonight, we are getting our first look at a man arrested in connection with an hours-long standoff in Flagler County. Michael Moore was taken into custody yesterday. He was wanted for an armed robbery in Virginia. Now, investigators pulled him over near the intersection of Bel Air and Beaver Dam Lane after discovering that the car he was driving was stolen. When deputies tried to get Moore out of the car, he refused, leading to that standoff. Several nearby homes had to be evacuated, but he eventually surrendered. One person is dead following a crash on the turnpike. Troopers say the driver was heading south about 2:30 this afternoon when the driver lost control and went off the road. The car turned over and the driver died on scene. There were no reports of any other injuries, but the crash is still under investigation. The Red Cross is now assisting people in Merritt Island who lost their home to a fire. The flames broke out this morning at a mobile home on Kelly Street. It's not clear how the fire started, but officials say everyone inside was able to make it out safely. At this point, no other details have been released. Orange County Sheriff's deputies are searching for a man they say was involved in an armed robbery at a local Holiday Inn. They say the man entered the hotel on Conway Road just before 11:30 last night. He had a gun and was able to get away with some money and personal items. Contact the sheriff's office if you have any information. People in Sebring gathered tonight to remember the victims of Wednesday's tragic shooting. This vigil was held just a few hours ago, honoring Marisol Lopez, Jessica Montague, Anna Pignon-Williams, Deborah Cook, and Cynthia Watson. They were killed when police say Zephon Zaver walked into the SunTrust Bank around lunchtime Wednesday and started shooting. Yesterday, officials with SunTrust announced they will not be reopening that branch, and they'll look for other uses for that building. New tonight, former Trump campaign advisor Roger Stone is questioning the tactics of special counsel Robert Mueller. Now, this comes after Stone was arrested on Friday in Fort Lauderdale. He's been indicted on 7 counts, including obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and lying to Congress. Now, earlier today, Stone denied the allegations against him.
I did not lie before the Congress. Any error I made would be an honest mistake of memory. It would be without intent. It would be immaterial and inconsequential.
Stone also spoke about the possibility of being pardoned by the president if convicted, and later accused the government of using what he called Gestapo tactics during his arrest. Tonight, White House officials are not budging on President Donald Trump's demand for $5.7 billion for a border wall. Congress now faces the president's February 15th deadline to reach a deal or face another government shutdown. NBC's Jennifer Johnson is in Washington with more.
Jennifer Johnson, NBC News, Washington.
Turning to Commitment 2020 tonight, Democratic Senator Kamala Harris formally launched her campaign for president. She kicked it off with a rally in her hometown of Oakland, California today. The former California Attorney General is a first-term senator known for taking President Donald Trump to task on a number of issues. Harris used today's rally to outline her plans for 2020, touting Medicare for all, tax cuts, and criminal justice reform.
I'm running to fight for an America where the economy works for working people. For an America where you only have to work one job to pay the bills. And where hard work is rewarded and where any worker can join a union.
Now she joins a rapidly growing field of women and Democrats who are running for president. Today's cold and wet weather didn't exactly make for a pleasant time for fans over the NFL Pro Bowl. Our crews there as people began to leave as early as halftime during the game between the NFC and the AFC. This is the second year in a row the weather has put a real damper on this game for fans. Both last year and this year, there was heavy rain through the game, but the difference this year is the cold. At points through the game, it felt like it was in the 40s.
Just from the get-go, right when we stepped foot in there, we went straight into mud. And I mean, my feet were cold and wet, and now my pants are wet, and everything's just wet, and it hasn't been a good time. But
So you're out of here.
I'm out of here. Yeah, it's halftime, and I'm out of here.
Now, this is the third year of a 3-year contract Orlando has to host the Pro Bowl. Some sports commentators say today's weather might hurt Orlando's chances at getting a new Pro Bowl contract. A shocking case of road rage is caught on camera in Boston, and a man accused of killing 5 people in Louisiana is now in custody. How investigators managed to capture him after a nearly day-long manhunt. Police say the hunt for a gunman suspected of killing 5 people in Louisiana has come to an end. Dakota Terrio ran away to Virginia and was captured at his grandmother's home today. He's now being held without bond. NBC's Dan Sheneman has the latest on this case. Drivers in Massachusetts were stunned to see a man hanging on for dear life on the hood of an SUV during an apparent road rage incident. Look at this. The cell phone video shows Richard Kemrosky hanging onto the hood of that SUV on Friday, screaming to stop the car. Now, the driver, Mark Fitzgerald, appears to kind of speed up and then slow down. This went on for several miles, with Kemrosky still clinging to the hood. Kemrosky says Fitzgerald sideswiped him, and he ended up on the hood after the two got out and got into an argument.
I thought he was going to run over me, and I don't think he stopped. He kept going fast, slow, try to get him to slide off. I wasn't getting off the car.
Both men were arrested. Fitzgerald charged with assault with a deadly weapon, and Kemrosky charged with disorderly conduct. Hundreds of very brave, or maybe just crazy people, jumped into Lake Michigan for the polar plunge this weekend in Chicago. This is the true definition of a polar plunge. The temperatures there in the teens, but believe it or not, that is mild compared to the cold that's coming their way. So intensely cold air that is normally trapped in a polar vortex at the North Pole will break free. It brings the coldest air in 2 decades along with it, creating dangerously low temperatures.
I've seen people get frostbite within 10 minutes of being outside on their ears, just walking, from one place to the next.
Now, the Arctic air will move in tomorrow. By Wednesday, a stretch of the country from the Dakotas to Maine will be facing sub-zero temperatures. Wind chills projected to be as low as 60 below zero. 60. That's not something that we ever encounter down here in the great state of Florida.
It's not something they really encounter in the upper Midwest.
I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, you're going to see widespread low temperature records broken as we kind of head into this week. And then, yes, you have this deadly wind chill, frostbite that can set in within minutes.
If you have family up north, make sure you're checking in on them over the next couple of, I'm sure they're prepared for it and they have a lot of news telling them what to do as well.
And it's a wide-ranging pattern, so it will even keep our temperatures unseasonably cool. Of course, we won't be dealing with anything record-breaking, but our temperatures kind of swing around a bit here over the coming days. Kelly?
Thanks, Kyle. A real soaker today for two big sporting events happening in Central Florida. Pat takes us to the Pro Bowl and the Rolex 24 coming up in sports. Plus, the Magic look to complete a season sweep against the Rockets, looking for an upset in Houston.
Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
Thanks for joining us on WESH 2 News. I'm Kelly Rippin in for Sonica Adange. And of course, the man we need to talk to about all of this rainy and cold weather is First Alert meteorologist Kyle Gravlin. It's not Kyle's fault. We like to blame Kyle for a lot of these things, but it's not his fault. But the good news is, even though it doesn't quite look like it right now, it's starting to head out.
It's starting to move out. And if we're going to get the blame for it, then we also get the blame when it's very nice around.
This is true.
That would be fair as well. But let's go to satellite and radars. Kelly?
Thanks, Kyle. President Trump's push to keep undocumented immigrants out of the U.S. has been central in his push for a border wall. But tonight, there's new evidence that another of the president's golf clubs was employing housekeepers, maintenance workers, and other staff who used phony documents when they were hired. NBC's Kate Snow has more. That was Kate Snow reporting. In Kentucky, a sheriff's deputy is now recovering in the hospital after he got into an accident when a rock was thrown at his cruiser. So Deputy Philip Dean was responding to a call about rocks being thrown at vehicles when he got hit. So he lost control of his cruiser and rolled over several times after the rock shattered his windshield and then hit him in the face. The rock was recovered from the car. Police are now looking for the person responsible, and anyone arrested will likely be charged with felony assault. The political unrest in Venezuela is intensifying, and it has world leaders taking sides. All this as President Nicolas Maduro alleges the United States is working to overthrow him. David Daniel reports.
I'm David Daniel reporting.
Gomez Alonso, the 8-year-old migrant boy who died in U.S. custody, was laid to rest in Guatemala. His mother held a vigil Saturday with others from the community in a brief ceremony to pay their final respects. Alonso was taken into custody with his father by U.S. Border Patrol after crossing into the country. After several days in detention, he developed a cough, started vomiting, and got a fever before dying in the hospital. He was the second Guatemalan immigrant child to die while in U.S. custody back in December. There's a renewed push to get people living in rural and low-income areas access to dental care. So a group called Floridians for Dental Access want lawmakers to sign off on a new healthcare license for what would be known as a dental therapist. Now, the therapist could do basic clinical dental treatments and preventative services under the supervision of traditional dentists. The health department says nearly 25% of Florida children have untreated tooth decay.
If you look around the state of Florida, we have counties with no practicing dentists in those counties. We have millions of people who are underserved in this space. And this creates for us an opportunity to lead in the country.
Approving a license for dental therapists is opposed by the Florida Dental Association, which contends there are better ways to help improve access to dental care in the state. It is trouble that could affect thousands of people who rely on its services. Lynx, the public bus system that serves Central Florida, is spending more money than it's taking in. The reason for this loss in revenue is complicated. Part of it, Lynx is spending more to provide rides to people with disabilities while losing riders to services like Uber and Lyft. Now, to balance the budget this year, Lynx plans to take millions of dollars from its reserves, which sits at over $6 million. Board members seemed caught off guard by that amount during a meeting last week.
I was very disappointed that there was no communication, at least to my persona, that was increasing.
CEO Edward Johnson is keeping his job for now, but his contract is up in June. In the meantime, Lynx is working on other options to raise more revenue. They decided not to raise the price of bus fare. Right now, that costs $2. Still to come here on West 2 News, a look at what movies came out on top at the box office. And the government shutdown is over for now, but it's still causing problems for the IRS as tax season ramps up. What experts say you need to know when you file this year. Plus, how a one-of-a-kind alligator is trading its scary persona to light up people's days. We'll introduce you to Wally and tell you about his special job. The official start to tax season is tomorrow, and as the IRS prepares to accept the first waves of tax filings, this year could be tricky for a number of different reasons. So the shutdown may be over, but it's still having an impact on the IRS. Matt Pritchard reports. That was Matt Pritchard reporting. Now, experts are advising everyone go to a tax preparer this year, not only to navigate the difficulties with the IRS, but also the new tax code. It is chilly and rainy, has been all day. It was the perfect weather to stay inside or go watch a movie. So here's a look at how this week's films fared at the box office. Coming in at number 1, M. Night Shyamalan's Glass raked in $19 million. The Upside, starring Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart, spent another week in second place, bringing in $12.2 million. And DC's Aquaman came in third, $7.3 million. That brings the superhero flick's domestic total at $317 million. You often hear about the unusual emotional support animals causing problems on flights, but there's an animal in York, Pennsylvania that's not causing problems, it's bringing smiles.
Say hi to this lady?
Yep, that's exactly what you think it is. That is Wally, the emotional support alligator. And he may look scary with his big claws and his sharp teeth, but his handler, Joe Henney, says he's harmless. Wally frequently visits places like nursing homes where the residents can pet and hold Wally. Henney got Wally from a gator rescue here in Florida, of course, 3 years ago, and says he realized Wally had a gift when he helped him get through some hard times.
I'd be laying in the bed, and it's like he would just know. He'd come over and he'd crawl over and just lay his head right on top of mine. And it just comforted me so much. And next thing I know, I was over my depression.
He's pretty cute. And watch, you'll see, he gets held like a baby here in a second. Wally is unique in that he is, of course, the only certified emotional support alligator in the country. So if you were having a sad, rainy, cold day, you can get yourself an emotional support alligator.
Yeah.
That would definitely be a sight that I would not expect to see. And I don't know that he's allowed to fly, but that's not for us to decide.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. There would be that.
There would be a lot there. As far as weather, a lot of people want to keep a close eye on the forecast for this week with flights. If you are going to be traveling, those really cold temperatures could impact your flights in and out of Orlando as well.
There's going to be a lot of issues, I think, around most of the continental United States when it comes to our weather over the next several days, and even all the way down here in Florida. We get Kelly?
Thanks, Kyle. The Magic look to complete a season sweep of the Rockets in Houston. Pat takes us there for highlights in sports, plus a wet day in Central Florida, but big sporting events had to go on, including the Pro Bowl. And we have an abbreviated Rolex 24, all of the highlights when we come back.
Have a good night.
As I say, maybe it wasn't the most beautiful weekend for the sporting events we had here in Central Florida, but this isn't common for us this time of the year.
No, January is dry, or usually one of our driest months, but 2 straight Pro Bowls, quite wet around here.
Not the most beautiful weather.
Not the best. The rain is almost over with. It will be as we get close to daybreak. We stay cool and breezy for daytime Monday. Highs, lows 60s. A slight warm-upper, mild up if we want to call it that. 67 on Tuesday, but then the chilly air for early Wednesday. Some freezing temperatures possible northwest of I-4. We're back in the 70s though by next week, and we'll watch out for some scattered showers.
Excellent. Get your work week started bright and early with West 2 News Sunrise. We'll get you out the door with the biggest stories of the day. Of course, the weather and traffic you need also to start your day. Have a great night.